Lord have mercy on your souls. I am Johnny Massacre, and this is a Massacre Music live stream. I thought I'd do this because I did a movie review of the Matrix 4, Matrix Resurrections, and there were some new subscribers, which was great. I think we had about 30 people join, and maybe we had 100 actually. So I thought maybe some of you new subscribers might be out there, and maybe we can hang out together, have a little chat, get to know each other a little bit better. You might be wondering why I reviewed I reviewed a movie on a channel named Massacre Music. Well, the reason is my main channel, I was banned for telling people political stuff. And so what with that ban being in effect, I needed an outlet for that movie review. And so my other channel is Massacre Music, which is this one. However, there's nothing wrong with talking about movies once in a while, because movie lovers and music lovers are often much alike. The two genres cross over. So if there are any people who subscribed recently, please feel free to drop a comment and let's have a chat. So I just want to check the stream health, see what it's looking like. Hopefully all the naming is correct. Usually when you drop a stream, you put the name of the stream in YouTube, and you also put it on your streaming software, and the two sometimes conflict and the name can come up wrong. So I just want to check to make sure everything's looking all right. Seems to be all right. Now, this stream is titled What Movie Shall I Watch Next? So I would like to hear your recommendations. To be honest, I'm not a movie buff at all. I've just seen the kind of classics that you've probably all seen, especially science fiction. My favorite movies are science fiction movies. Aliens. My top 5 movies ever is probably Aliens, Blade Runner, Terminator 2 is probably up there, Back to the Future 2, Back to the Future 1, not Back to the Future 2, and Ghostbusters. So generally science fiction kind of stuff is awesome for me. And in spite of that, I haven't really watched any alternative cinema. I haven't gone into any foreign cinema. Of course, you've all got those mates out there who say things like, have you seen that Spanish film? Have you seen that whatever film, that German film from 1954? And I haven't seen any of that stuff, really, because the movies from the 80s were so entertaining. After watching those, it's kind of hard to go back. However, we have surely hit a dead end in modern day cinema, and therefore I think it's time for me to branch out a little bit. I think it's time to start looking at great films, because a great film is a great film regardless of what the budget is, of course, and how many special effects there are. It's the same with a tune. People ask me, what kind of music do you like? And they think I'm just going to stick with the obvious choice, like drum and bass, mate, or something kind of heavy. But really, a tune's a tune. A tune is a fucking tune is a fucking tune. It could be something from 1920s. It could be classical music. It could be Beethoven. It could be Bach. It could be James Brown. It could be Al Green. It could be Rolling Stones. It could be the Beatles. It could be Andy C. It could be fucking anyone, couldn't it? So yeah, tune is a tune is a tune. So for me, it doesn't matter what genre it is. If it's good, it's good. And I think maybe it's about time I apply that logic to movies. Don't you think? Don't you think, Massacre friends? So if you have any recommendations out there, I would like to hear them. A few people recommended me some stuff on Twitter. And yeah, some black and white old school movies. So I'm making a little list. And for the time being, I thought I'd talk about movies I've been into recently. Now, I haven't really watched any films recently, but for some reason, recently, I've gone hard into Aliens. I've gone hard into Aliens, man. I love Aliens. Aliens is it's up there, mate. I mean, it could be. It's definitely one of the best films ever made. I mean, my favorite movie used to be Ghostbusters, and then it became Blade Runner about 10 years ago. But recently, for some reason, in the last couple of months, I've started to think that Aliens could be even better than Blade Runner. But I'm not sure, because Blade Runner has it's just the world building is amazing, and it's weirdly relatable, and you can really put yourself into that movie. You can become the protagonist. As long as you're walking around any first world city, you can be the protagonist of Blade Runner. So with that said, it's going to be hard to usurp Blade Runner from the peak of my favorite movies, the top of the pile of my favorite movies. But Aliens, I don't know, mate, it could do, because Aliens is more satisfying than Blade Runner. It's a perfect movie. It's a perfect movie. There's not 1 second of that movie that shouldn't be there, that should be edited out. And the pacing of it, I love the build up, the suspense, the dynamics of it are just incredible. The way it starts in space and it's silent, and then they go into Ripley's escape lifeboat floating in space, and things gradually become more interesting and stimulating visually and audibly, and then the slow build up to landing on LV-426, and then eventually the Marines waking up. When you're introduced to the Marines, everybody loves that scene. All those characters are just legendary. Everyone loves them, right? And I love the way the Marines kind of approach the target, the base, the colony, where they go up to the door and it's all raining outside, and the sound effects, and there's no music at that point. You just hear the footsteps kind of slopping through the mud and stuff. And it's the sound effects, mate. The pulse rifle with the flange effect on the pulse rifle, the smart gun, the explosive sound of the aliens just coming apart when they're shot with the heavy duty military artillery, and the gore and splashing sound effect of the gore and the aliens' limbs flying everywhere. It's fucking awesome. The sound of the face huggers as well, even the weird clicking sound they make and stuff, which sounds almost quite cute, which makes it even more terrifying, because you don't expect terror to come from something sounding so kind of innocent and organic. It's just fucking awesome. So anyways, Aliens, mate. Recently I've gone mad on Aliens, and so I've started to kind of watch it on YouTube and stuff. I think the reason I've got back into Aliens is because I got the game Aliens Fireteam for the PlayStation 4. I actually just got a PlayStation 5. It's really hard to get out here in Japan, harder to get than in England or the States, I believe. So I managed to get one in England. So my mum's going to mail it out to me. But for now, I'm dealing with the PS4. And I downloaded Aliens Fireteam on the recommendation of my mate, even though I thought it didn't look that great. And some of the reviews were mixed for Aliens Fireteam on the PlayStation. But it's actually fucking good. If you're a fan of the film, you'll love Aliens Fireteam. There's loads of Xenos. They got that really well. The animation's great. Proper swarm, proper infestation of xenomorphs. And after playing that, I think my best friend who I play it with, he watched Aliens, and he was going on and on about it. And we share very similar tastes, of course. That's why he's my best friend. And my best friend has watched a lot of classics recently and revised his opinion of them. For example, he watched Matrix and he said he wasn't a fan of it. Watching it all these years later, he said it was a bit cheesy, although I disagree. And he said the same thing of other movies, but Aliens he didn't. Aliens, he just said he loved it. He was all over it. So he watched Aliens and he was just telling me how amazing it was. So I started to watch clips of it on YouTube. And I got deep into it, man. I got deep into it. I think I started off with the scene where they're all going down the ventilation shaft towards the end of the movie, approaching the climax of the film, where it's all red and the aliens bust through the ceiling and they eventually fall back because they're getting overwhelmed, and they're in the vents and they're all kind of walking backwards or kind of crouch walking backwards while the aliens are coming from behind. That's what she said. And Vasquez gets fucked shooting up the aliens, and Gorman goes back to save her, and then they're fucked because aliens pop out from behind them and in front of them, all angles, and Gorman just commits suicide, mutual suicide with Vasquez. That fucking scene, that got me into it again. Then I started watching loads of clips online. That scene in the tunnel, Lord of mercy, that's fucking incredible. I love the lighting, the red lighting. I love the claustrophobia of it. I love the acting. Vasquez is fucking blowing him away with her pulse rifle all the way down. The way she moves down that ventilation shaft, she looks like a genuine trained military service woman. And then she runs out of ammo for the pulse rifle, and the alien, I think it comes from above, and she fucking puts her boot on its face, and the sound effect, boom, when she puts the boot on, and blam, 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 shooting it up point blank with the pistol. That was amazing. That was orgasmic. So I really liked that scene. And I like the way Gorman redeemed himself. And she goes, "You always were an asshole, Gorman." And it sounds like she's dissing him, but in a way, she's finally accepting him. So he becomes accepted, which is a resolution for him, because he let his team down when they went into the nest, and he panicked, and it got a lot of them killed. But then his fellow soldier calling him an arsehole is almost like a term of endearment between the soldiers. So in the end, he got accepted. So I really liked that. So that scene was awesome. And then I went on to look at the Facehugger scene where Newt and Ripley get trapped in, I think it's a med bay. Who's the guy, the villain? Burke locks them in with the two facehuggers because he wants to get the alien back through quarantine in order to just give it to his shadowy bosses, the Wayland Yutani Corporation. That scene, that's maybe one of my, I mean, there's so many great scenes in that movie, but that's one of my favorite scenes. The facehuggers have got to be one of the most horrific movie monsters ever made. The way it looks like a hand, that's the thing that makes it fucked up, is the way it looks so familiar. What a really kind of classic horror technique is to take something that is not dangerous at all, like a hand, you see it every day, and make it into the most horrific thing ever. Something you'd never expect danger to come from. So it's a pair of fucking hands, and it's like a spider. Spiders elicit a primal reaction, disgust, revulsion in human beings without even knowing what it is. It's a reaction. It's an instinct. They're just fucking horrible creatures, are they not? So they're basically giant spiders, but they're hands, which is even more fucked up, made out of hands. And they rape you. They rape you. It's like a forced blowjob on a guy. So it's male rape. And the crazy thing is it can rape a woman or a man. It's indiscriminate, which is even more fucked up. You every hole's a goal to the motherfucking facehugger, more than any other person or living creature. And it has one mission. It's get on the face, and it's going to complete the mission. There are animals like that, right? That just have kind of one mission. I mean, the shark is just designed to bite something, right? So when the shark's hungry, it's got one mission. But there must be another animal that's as one-track minded as a facehugger. There must be. Like, there's some sea animals, right? There's that conical shell or something that shoots its spine out if you tread on it or something. Anyways, there are examples in nature where the organism has evolved in a certain way to just do the same fucking thing every time. It's like with a hamster, right? I had a hamster. If you give a hamster a dust bath, when it goes into the dust particles, it just rolls around. It's programmed into its brain to roll around. If you give a hamster a bit of tissue paper, it fucking stands up and takes it into its nest. And in the same way, the primal instinct of the facehugger is get on your fucking face. And it's so terrifying because it's not actually evil. It's just serving its purpose. It's telos, right? That's the Greek philosophy, telos, where everything is designed for a purpose or something like that. And the facehugger is just completing its purpose. It barely even has a personality. It's like a drone. It's like an insect. It's just going on instinct. And that makes it even worse because what it's doing is so horrible, and yet there's no morality about it. There's something natural and almost inevitable and necessary about it. And yet it's just so revolting and horrible. There are certain creatures, right, which people just hate, like snakes and spiders. But actually then it's fucked up because a person that hurts you is worse because at least they have a kind of choice to choose whether to do it. But these animals, it's almost not their fault. And that makes it even more horrific, is that what's happening is some kind of natural process. And it should happen as much as it shouldn't happen. So there's all this mad psychology going on with the facehugger, and it looks like a pussy. So it's like a woman's pussy raping your face and killing you with a dick coming out. It's a mess of Freudian sexual imagery and repressed neuroses. There's all kinds of shit going on there. It's disgusting, the facehuggers, and they are relentless. And I like the way they don't just run at you, they kind of hide and shit, and they're waiting for the opportune moment, which adds a lot to the drama and tension, right? They're looking around, they know they're in there. Where the fuck are they? Like a real animal, right? It's kind of biding its time. Disgusting. It makes your skin crawl. The fucking facehuggers, they're relentless, and they're so powerful. They're so fast and powerful. If it I don't know how it gets the momentum to fucking jump on your face from the floor. It is a science fiction movie, but the way it jumps on the way when it jumps you can't get it off, and it's getting the tail around you. It's so incredibly strong. It takes takes about 3 soldiers to get it away from Ripley, and it's that moment you're trying to avoid when it actually gets a good grip on your face, then you can't get it off, and it's so nearly going on Ripley's face. She's desperately trying to force it off, and on her own she probably wouldn't be able to, and it's choking her to death, so it's going to make her pass out, and then we'll get her. They're just awful fucking hideous creatures. So that scene's awesome. The sound effect of the facehugger, when it kind of goes, it makes this clicking noise, and when it's running along the floor, it's like, ta, 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 you hear its fucking horrible little fingers or legs, whatever you call them, tapping along the floor, and it jumps. There's the whip sound effect, and when the tail goes around her neck, just horrible. And then it's making this clicking noise and desperately trying to get out. It's fucking disgusting, man. Watch that scene. It was amazing. And the climax of that scene is awesome. So they call the soldiers by it's soundproof glass, so her screams couldn't be heard, but she does the lighter. Fire! Lighter. Who's got a lighter? So fucking flames up the what is it? The smoke detector, the fire detector, and all the Marines are alerted, and the Marines go down there, and it's Hicks, it's Hudson, it's Vasquez. I think maybe there's 1 or 2 others, but that's one of the baddest scenes ever in cinema. So Hicks, being the leader he is, immediately notices what is going on, and he just says to his teammates, shoot it out! Brrr! Pulse rifle into the glass, cracks the glass. Hicks backs up and just dive bombs the glass with his shoulder. Boom, sound effect. Rolls in there, straight over to Ripley. Hudson goes in, and I love his acting. He's a great actor. Bill Paxton, God rest his soul, rest in peace. He goes in there and he focuses on Newt, and he goes, Jesus, like that. His reaction is just what you'd say if you saw a facehugger. The kid's got the facehugger's tail behind some kind of medical tray. She's holding it there, and he says, Jesus, great acting. And he goes, kid, look out. Moves her to the side, puts his massive boot, his military boot, jackboot, boom, on the medical table. Brr, brr. All its limbs, little fucking horrible appendages fly off. Fucking awesome. And then the rest of the team go up to Ripley, and it takes 3 soldiers to get the facehugger off of Ripley, and then it's so fucking powerful. It takes 3 people to coordinate what to do with this fucking parasite facehugger, and it's like, over there, yeah, you ready, yeah. I think they count it down. It's like 3, 2, 1, and Vasquez, she goes, it's a heavy fucking thing, is a facehugger. Throws the facehugger. Brr. I think it was Hicks who took it out. Man, I watched that scene and I was just, fuck. I love that scene in Aliens. And there's so many other scenes in that film. You know, when Hicks and Ripley are trying to get away to the fucking dropship or whatever, they're in the elevator and the music cuts and he press the button. Nothing happens. Press the button again. The alien swings down, blows it away. Acid on his fucking breastplate. Had to take it. Aliens is just amazing. So I've been on a bit of an Aliens binge, and then from that you get recommended all these videos by these YouTube channels that have made a name of chatting about aliens. And there's so many for aliens channels where they talk about the origin of the xenomorph and the canon and the universe and the comics, and I was looking at all that shit. So man, I really went down the aliens rabbit hole, and I started watching all the facehugger scenes from all the aliens movies, and it gave me some fucked up nightmares. Do you know what, Alien versus Predator, I don't really remember it because, as you all know, it's poor, but There's a few scenes, even in Alien vs. Predator, which are kind of awesome. There's a scene where they go into the sacrificial chamber, that's what it's called, and these eggs come out of these holes in the ground, alien eggs, of course, and there's a team of scientists in there, or whoever, and the acting is quite good from the guy. The woman says, like, what's this chamber called again? And he goes, sacrificial chamber. And the facehugger pops out the egg, and this is fucking 11 years old, 12 years old. The CGI is actually quite good. The facehugger flies through the air, and you see it in slow motion. It looks really, really good. I don't know how they did that. And it latches onto her face. And then there's a facehugger scene in Alien 4, which Alien Resurrection, which is, I guess, is the worst movie of all of them, probably. There's a few people in the comments for Alien Resurrection saying it's actually underrated. There's no way. And there's a scene in that where they're doing experiments on people and forcing facehuggers onto them, and they've got their hands tied behind their back, and they're inside some pod, and there's an egg just underneath their face, and they're all coming to as the eggs open up, and they're screaming. You never see the facehugger go on the face, but that was really disturbing. Anyways, Aliens. Fucking awesome, mate. How did they make such a believable world with that budget and just some fucking rubber guys in suits? It's just, James Cameron was the master of making shit look believable. I think one of the reasons Aliens look so believable is because it's all shot in the dark. If it had been done in the daytime, you would have seen it for what it was with your own two eyes. But because of the limitations, he shot it all in the dark to make it look more believable. And often having these limitations, it reduces the amount of options the creative has, and ends up funneling you down quite a solid path, and you end up with a good product, compared to if you had endless options with modern day CGI and you just can't really decide on what you want to do. And so it just looks so believable. Even watching it the other day, the hive scene where they all get fucked up and they go back to the APC, Ripley kind of saves them. That scene where they're backing off into the APC, and what's his name? Vasquez is kind of like little crush, that guy. Forget his name, but he gets burned in the face. He hits himself with a flamethrower. They're in the APC and they're closing the door, and the alien hand goes like blam on the door, is pulling it open, and Hicks takes a shotgun. He's like, eat this, boom, in its head. Acid goes on the arm of Gorman or whatever. That fucking scene on the way back to the APC when they're shooting the pulse rifle at the Xenos, it does a quick cut to the Xeno and they're just being ripped apart by the pulse rifle. The limbs are like spiraling off into the background, and like green acid blood spraying everywhere. Sound effect, boom, like scream from the alien. That film is just insane, and you have to give massive props to the person who okayed Geiger doing all of the aesthetic of the movie. I think that was Ridley Scott. That was genius. They just let him do it all. The fucking inside the alien ship, the space jockey, the xenon, like fucking the facehugger, everything. Geiger making that was a stroke of genius. I believe he saw that in his nightmares, and he's such a big part of that movie. And then for James Cameron to take that intellectual property and turn it into that's majestic. The xenomorph is one of the best Hollywood designs of any genre, of any kind of fantasy character. It's amazing. And I was watching stuff on YouTube where they talk about the reason for the design, and they wanted it to be kind of elegant, like weirdly elegant, and so it's kind of beautiful, like beautifully horrible. It is elegant, like the way it walks, and the kind of it's all shiny and shit. It's kind of like some cool car or something, right? And yet it's so terrifying, and it's humanoid, so it looks familiar. So again, things that are kind of familiar are the most terrifying. So it looks humanoid, but it's this horrible distortion of something familiar, an abomination. And it's fast, and it's shadowy, and it's camouflaged. It's just an amazing movie monster. That and the facehugger, incredible. And the Alien Queen, what a stroke of genius in Aliens. Just to create that. And they were talking about the design. The legs are kind of splayed, so they go outwards. So it walks like this. And apparently James Cameron wanted it to be like that because it's supposed to be connected to its ovipositor, that huge ovipositor that lays the eggs, and it's got all the xenomorph resin that holds it up on the ceiling. And so James Cameron said its legs should be atrophied. It should be skinny and kind of malnourished because it's been in that position for so long. So it has this horrible, creepy, spindly, splayed walk. That was all intentional in the movie. And its feet are like high heels, so it's supposed to be feminine, and it's just beautiful and disgusting at the same time. It's a really conflicting movie. It gives you so many emotions. Just fucking awesome. Just awesome. So I was watching all of that shit, and I love it so much. And yeah, it doesn't look like we're going to get anyone in the chat today, so I'm talking to myself. But that's what I normally do, so no change there then. So we got 30 new subscribers. Maybe we'll get 1 or 2 people joining us. I do wonder if I've done something to the chat. But yeah, even if no one does chat, I'll put this up anyway so you can watch it back and drop some comments, Massacre friends. So yeah, I've been getting into Aliens again. If you're just joining us, been getting into Aliens franchise. Alien is awesome, the original movie, but Aliens is the one for me. Alien, I watched a little bit of the scene where Ash, the android, attacks Ripley. That's a very good scene, very disturbing. It looks beautiful. You can see how it's influenced by Stanley Kubrick. He influenced pretty much all space movies. I like the ship. They're kind of like truckers. It's a very worn-in, lived-in ship. It looks believable. I like the white design and the padded kind of walls, and the way it's not square, it's a hexagonal or octagonal pathways and stuff. Really believable, really cool. Back then, whoever was into sci-fi and the elite sci-fi designers, they were on some crazy shit, man. There were some great artists and set designers back then. And yeah, Alien is great, but I much prefer Aliens. And then Alien 3, yeah, that's really sad. That's really sad what happened to that. Killed off Hicks, killed off Newt. Fans of the series always get pissed off about that. James Cameron, director of Aliens, was pissed that Hicks was killed off. We really wanted another one of those. I'm sure James Cameron was on to direct at some point. It's a real shame he didn't. I would fucking pay so much money if I had any money to see James Cameron come back to do another Aliens film. If anyone can reboot it, it's him. And then of course we had Prometheus and Covenant. On paper, Prometheus was awesome, right? Ridley Scott, original director, coming back, and it's quite commendable what they tried to do with Prometheus, because they went for a different story. Like, instead of going for the really predictable story. Oh, we got Hunson Abadir. He says, "Hey cuz, nice Matrix review. I knew it was going to be trash." You're welcome, mate. I rushed out there and saw it at midnight as soon as I was able to, so I could save people the money of having to go and see it, because I had a hunch that it was going to be a little bit shit. Your chat is supposed to actually come up here, my friends, Hunson Abadir, but for some reason it's not. Anyways, maybe it will come up soon. So going back to what I was chatting about, yeah, Prometheus. So that instead of just going with the obvious shit, like all these shitty remakes, by giving you the original characters and the original monsters, they actually tried to do something different. They gave the kind of story about not really the origin of the aliens, but the origin of the space jockey, that huge fossilized alien that you saw inside that donut-shaped ship, where the whole alien story came from. And there was a lot of... I liked the concept of it. I liked the idea, and I've read some of the original script, and it's really smart, and I love the aesthetic of it. They researched a lot of weird underwater kind of albinos, deep sea life and stuff when they were trying to create the aliens, and they looked at Greek mythology, and the idea was cool. There's all these symbols in different caves and stuff all around the world with the same symbols pointing towards something in space. People always talk about this stuff. Are the pyramids related to aliens and the hieroglyphics and stuff? The original Alien script had hieroglyphics inside a pyramid where the eggs were found, when they took that out for the original movie. So Prometheus went back to the original script, which was known as Star Beast before it was called Alien, and was faithful to the original source material. But it was just the execution of it. And the story was so fucking stupid in Prometheus. I can't believe how ridiculous that was. Hunson Abadir in the chat says, Cameron was a producer on that dark flop trash. That's correct, Hunson. but better hundo, his new Avatar movie sucks. Yeah, so Hunson makes a good point about how James Cameron produced Terminator Dark Fate, which is... Oh man, that was painful. The Terminator movie before that, my friends, I actually thought was even worse, but that was terrible when he produced it. But the thing is, when you see produced by, how much does that really mean? How many times have you seen a film produced by someone amazing that was fucking awesome? I'm sure there's some examples out there. I guess Steven Spielberg produced a few, like Robert Zemeckis films and shit. But yeah, I think generally when someone produces it, it doesn't really mean all that much. So yeah, maybe we shouldn't be too harsh on James Cameron for Terminator Dark Fate, but I do wonder how much he was involved in it and the wokeness of it. James Cameron hasn't brought out a movie since things went woke. It's interesting, right? Do you think James Cameron has been supping from the goblet of wokeness, and the new Avatar might be a little bit woke? That would be terrifying, because James Cameron is the original kind of feminist, right? He did the feminism thing correct. He made a great feminist hero, but it wasn't belittling men. It wasn't doing it. It wasn't trampling over men to make yourself look better. It was respecting women, their femininity, the motherhood. In Aliens, Ripley has a daughter and she dies, and then she kind of neuters her surrogate daughter. So James Cameron actually did the original kind of feminism, and he did it right. Let's just hope he doesn't go woke for Avatar. That would be completely unbearable, would it not? So yeah. Hunson says, you're probably right, that might have been a huge check to slap his name on it for credit, but dude is super woke these days, and I wonder if he can get past that. Oh my god, James Cameron is super woke? Please don't let that happen. James Cameron is not allowed to fail for Avatar, because he's done 3 of those movies back to back. It's going to be billions of dollars they've spent. If that shit tanks, it's going to take down the whole fucking movie studio. But anyways, Prometheus, the imagery is great. Like, it looks, the design of the set and the kind of Geiger inspired ship and stuff, I think it looks cool. And the ampules kind of looks cool. The urns in the original script, they kind of talk about urns and stuff. So again, it's paying homage and is respectful to the original concept, aesthetic, script and writers. But the story was just insanely stupid. It's for Prometheus, right? A bunch of scientists wake up on this ship fucking like decades into hypersleep. So that means all their loved ones back home are basically going to be dead by the time they get home. They've left all their friends, they left everything, and they wake up in space, like decades into hyperspace, hypersleep. And none of them know why they're there. And then they find out why they're in space. Imagine getting onto a spaceship with a bunch of randoms you don't know, and the deal is you're going to be in hypersleep for fucking like 20 years. Your girlfriend's going to be old. You're going to lose your girlfriend. You're going to lose everything. You're going to lose all your mates. They'll probably be dead by the time you get home. We're not going to tell you why you're going. Do you want to come? Okay. And just tell me when we get there where we're fucking going. So that, right at the start of the film, that happens. And they're all assholes. There's an engineer's guy and there's a scientist. And they're fucking old. The guy says, I think it's the engineer guy, the ginger guy. Someone talks to him and he says something like, fuck off, don't talk to me. What? You're taking a bunch of scientists and they're just socially retarded, introverted, passive-aggressive assholes. What the fuck is that? You're in a spaceship in a claustrophobic environment with all these fellow professionals, and the first thing you do is start cussing everyone? What's going on there? Let's not get started on Prometheus and plot holes and silly shit in Prometheus, because there's just too much of it. Hunson Abadir says, I think for sure it will. He's on the woke bus hardcore these days, but I agree. I loved Ripley as a kid. So Hunson Abadir is speculating that Avatar's going to be woke. Shit. I really hope you're wrong, mate. But you know I'll be here to review it when it does come out. So Prometheus, the thing is, nowadays, like, films are so trash that you have to try to get what you can out of it. It's a sorry recognition, if you will, of how bad things have gotten, that nowadays the general enjoyment you get from a film is trying to sift out a few diamonds in an otherwise sea of shit. And from Prometheus, I sifted out quite a lot, aside from the stupid acting and stupid plot holes and story and a lot of the script. The way it looked was cool. So in the game, Aliens Fireteam, when I was walking around, one of the levels you go into the Promethean ship with all the bioweapon, the ampules all over the fucking wall. That was quite hype. In the game, there's no Promethean though. There's none of those big fuckers chasing you around. So, yeah, Prometheus... It could have... It's so frustrating because it could have been so good. It could have been so good. How can you make a script so stupid like Prometheus with that amazing intellectual property and a lot of good people on your team? Why didn't... they go into the alien ship and they take off their fucking helmet. What? On planet Earth, people won't take off their fucking mask in the street when they're socially fucking distanced. On an alien ship, you just take that shit off? What? And there's a scene with the kind of death cobra, that horrible albino cock cobra that it's clearly an aggressive, hostile species. It hisses at the guy. That's a classic sign of a hostile species, like a snake fucking hissing at you because it's going to bite you. Hisses at the guy. The guy's going up to going, here, come in. Like it's some sweet, cuddly cat. What is that? Ridley Scott, what? It makes you wonder about how many other people were critical in the original process of making Alien. Because if Ridley Scott was just left to his own devices, it might have actually been shit because he couldn't bring it back at all with Prometheus. It reminds me of George Lucas. I think back in the day, he had to collaborate more because he wasn't a big name then. But when he had a big name, everyone was afraid to challenge him. And then it became like really self-indulgent with those terrible Star Wars prequels. So maybe Ridley Scott's a little bit like that. He's a moody fucker as well, and he falls asleep in interviews. So maybe people are too afraid to check him, and that's why Prometheus went off the rails. But it's so frustrating. They should have had a clear path to tie it into Alien, the original film, and it raised a million questions and gave no answers. So it created this weird, this unintentional niche fan base. A really strong niche fan base. I mean, there's like a million of those motherfuckers out there who are really obsessed with trying to work out what Prometheus is all about. So it's really frustrating because it could have been sick. Hunson Abadir says Prometheus could have been a good part one if it went somewhere, but Covenant was junk. Yeah, I'm about to get there, Hunson. Haha, they sent a gay couple to populate a new planet. Okay, I forgot about that. Yeah, so in Covenant, they sent a gay couple to populate. I mean, you can imagine how that happened. That was probably something along the lines of Ridley. The studio is saying we need to kind of add some representation. And then he's like, oh, what is this? I don't want a bloody representation. And then they're saying, it's actually kind of in your contract here. And he's like, oh, fucking hell. Okay, we'll put a little bit of work stuff in there. Yeah, Alien Covenant. That was bad. That was bad. I watched 10 minutes of it, a quick cut of the first half of the film until they meet David the android. And yeah, it actually was weirdly kind of entertaining. But the problem is there's loads of problems, but I mean, it's fucking shitloads of problems. One of the main problems with that is they completely destroy the perfect organism, the alien. They completely destroy the life cycle, which is so logical. There's a queen lays the egg. Out of the egg is a parasite. The parasite goes onto you and it implants another egg into you. And then the thing that comes out of the egg hatches through your body, and it's using your body as a life force to get the nutrients it needs to grow. And then it takes on the appearance of the host, and that's it. It's perfect, and it's so great. It's just so creepy, cool, and perfect. And then in Covenant, they just have these spores in the forest, and you tread on the spore, and this tiny, nearly microscopic spore, not even barely visible to the human eye, goes in your ear or up your nose, and that implants the alien in you. That doesn't make it exciting anymore, because with the with the facehuggers, it's man versus beast. It wants to have you, and you can defend yourself. And even though the odds are stacked against you, you still have a chance. And that's where all the tension comes from. You know, this thing's going to fucking get this guy. It's stronger than him. His powers are probably not enough on his own, but maybe he can outwit it. Maybe he can get away somehow. What's going to happen? So you can already see the tension building when I'm just describing the basic dynamic of the facehugger, right? It's just a monster chasing you, basically. But with the spore, there's no conflict. There's no struggle. It just fucking goes inside you. What? How can it grow from a spore? It's not relatable. At least the facehugger resembles some weird fucking distortion of the human sexual experience. But the spore, growing a baby inside, what? So in that movie as well, they kind of retcon it, and they over explain it. They try to explain where the aliens came from. And apparently the android is designing the fucking alien. So he's trying to design the perfect organism. Mate, the perfect organism is already fucking out there in the forest. It's a spore you can't even see, and it makes the alien. But later in the film, the evil robot, David, introduces some of the crew to the alien eggs he's made, which is supposed to be the perfect organism. Mate, you didn't have to fucking kill Elizabeth Shaw, your crewmate, to develop that shit with the alien black goo that modifies your DNA to make the perfect organism. It was already out there in the forest. It was a fucking spore. You didn't have to bother with the facehugger. You could have just fucking put the spore in someone's drink and that would have been done. So, yeah, the whole life cycle of the alien in Alien Covenant was just ridiculous. And they fucked up the facehuggers. So the facehuggers, the character of the facehugger was ultimately established by James Cameron, as I said before. Ferocious, relentless, hard as nails. And once it's on your face, it's locked on. You try to get it off, it's going to acid everywhere. You'll fuck you up. It's unstoppable. It's like an unstoppable force. But in Alien Covenant, the facehugger goes on this guy's face, and it's on his face for about 1 fucking second. Literally on his face for 1 second, which is nowhere near long enough for it to implant some kind of embryo into him, right? But it implants an egg into him. So that takes away all that kind of cool, creeping dread of the first film, where there's something on his face and what is it doing? It's planting an egg. We could stop it if we rip it off, but it's going to kill him, and we have to watch our friend get raped. There's nothing we can do about it. And then it's all calm. So it's like, it's all tense. The tension peaks, and then you get the trough, the dynamic, and then it's all calmed down, but there's still that tension higher than before, more anxiety. That baseline anxiety has raised. And then you're kind of waiting to see what happens, and then the chest burster comes out. But now it just goes in his face, it comes off, and the egg's already in him. There's nothing you can do. Wow, that's really big. Fucking hell. That's like a huge chat. See the size of that? We've got to make that a bit smaller. That's what she said. Fucking hell. All right. We'll keep that there. The chat is coming up. And it's fucking massive. So, yeah, the facehugger goes on his face, and it impregnates him in about a second. So that gets rid of that whole interesting kind of creeping dread, right? That you're thinking, what's going to happen? Where is this going? So that shit is going on. And then after that, when the facehugger goes on the guy's face, his teammate pulls it off the guy's face. That's impossible. The whole point is you can't pull it off, and that's what makes it so tense, the scene, because once that goes on your face, it is game over. You'll never ever get it off. So what's with that? Could someone explain that to me? Why would Ridley Scott, the creator of the facehugger, kind of emasculate it, make it so you can just pull it off? So they basically destroyed the facehugger in Covenant, is what I wanted to say, which was massively disappointing. And yeah, Covenant, the ending was ridiculous. So yeah, I've been getting into Aliens, and even from Covenant, the kind of design of the alien and stuff, the new ones, the neomorphs, I could get something from it. And some of the shots look quite beautiful and nice. And I like the idea that in trying to create paradise, you actually create hell. So man should not be in charge of creating anything, because it inevitably becomes hell. Whenever man has played God and tried to create a utopia, there's been a lot of collateral, and it's turned into a nightmare. And I like that kind of that analogy, or not an analogy, but that kind of philosophy that man dares to emulate his maker, and he's actually going to create something completely the opposite. And that's what Covenant's about. So the idea was kind of okay. They had some intellectual people kind of working on it and stuff, but yeah, it wasn't good. It was quite poor. Hansen Abadir says, brother, I think it comes back to studios today are cowards. All the diversity and woke quotas come before a good story. Disney Marvel will hire you on your skin color alone. Yeah, I mean, there's affirmative action and stuff, and people are hired due to their intersectional, whatever, their accent of birth, which is crazy. We're living in something that's a political world nowadays. So, yeah, wokeness and Marxism, it looks like, has somewhat taken over the movie industry. And as time goes on, you see more and more of this political propaganda in movies. And quite simply, it's just the message. It's the reminder that Big Brother is watching you. The government is watching you. You need to subscribe to the ideology of the left who create these movies. And if you don't, you are going to be accused of being against all the people that they put in the film. So, yeah, as I said on the Matrix 4 review, this is probably the last film I'm ever going to see in the cinema, because now wokeness is taken over to such an extreme degree that it's the rule as opposed to the exception. It's just, you see that pretty much always in movies, and people don't want politics in movies. People don't want to be reminded that they're a bad person and they need to be on some kind of mission all the time. People want to relax, and they kind of want to get away from that stuff, don't you think? So yeah, that's probably the last film I'm ever going to see in the cinema. Or is it? No, I'm probably going to see one next week. A lot of people were recommending that I watch... I'm multitasking, by the way, in case you haven't noticed. A lot of people were recommending that I watch Dune. Is this something that I should be watching? Massacre Friends. A lot of people said to watch it. I haven't read the book. I've watched the trailer, and to be honest, I didn't really like the trailer. I thought the special effects were not as good as people made out, and I thought the dialogue and the acting, the exposition wasn't really that enjoyable. So I didn't actually see it in the cinema, but everyone's recommending it to me, and if I need to see it, I need to see it soon, because they're going to get it off the movie schedule. So is June something I should be watching? That is the question, Massacre Friends. I'm just logging into Twitch now because I want to see what is going on over there, and I'll get back to your comments if I can. We got 4 concurrent viewers. If you're just joining us, I'm Johnny Massacre, and we're talking about Aliens. I just went on a massive rant about Aliens, Alien 3, Alien vs Predator, Prometheus, and Alien Covenant. And I'm asking you if you've got any recommendations for me, any movies you recommend. We got Hansen Abadir, who's blowing up the comments. He says, 2 big things today are intentionality, subverting expectations, and also writing while walking through a minefield. Say the wrong idea, you might be fired. Yeah, because the political message is everywhere. That's the death of movies, really, what you said there. It's very pessimistic, but I do agree with it. Hansen Abadir says, you see the trailer for Nightmare Alley? No, what is that? And he highly recommends Dune. I don't know a person who hasn't recommended Dune. Like, pretty much every single person I know has recommended it. So I'm going to go see it. Fuck it, I'll go back to cinema. I was lying. Matrix 4 is not the last thing I'm ever going to see in the cinema. I'm going to go back and I'm going to watch Dune. I'll probably watch it this week. The thing is now, I put this, my other channel is shadow banned. Even my name is shadow banned on YouTube. They're massive despicable cunts, YouTube. You know, I did this to do music, and even if you search for my song, my big song or whatever, you can't find it. It doesn't autofill unless you type the whole name and press enter. So I'm shadow banned on my main channel. So I released the Matrix 4 review on my music channel, and already on my main channel I was thinking, yeah, I mix the content too much. It's become about politics, so it's almost like I can't release music on my main channel. So I made this channel to release my music, and now I've done a movie review and I've got some traction for that. So now this is the second channel. I'm doing different subject matter to what is intended. Can I do movie reviews on a music channel? Because if I do, people are going to fucking unsub when my music is released. Speaking of which, 24th of December, my next single, Pop Star, by myself, Johnny Massacre, is being released. Make sure you check it out. Massacre friends. So, yeah. What can I say? I do appreciate you, Hunson Abadir, in the comments, and anyone who joined me. If you want to see more of me, make sure you subscribe to our main channel, Johnny Massacre. It is youtube.com/Johnny Massacre for lots of political rants and also movie reviews. I think that is about it for tonight, Massacre friends. 5 concurrent viewers, unless anyone else wants to drop a comment. It is 10:17 in Tokyo, so I'm about to go to sleep. I will hit the gym today and absolutely murdered myself. So I'm feeling quite knackered, and it is going to be a busy week. But I will be making videos Monday to Friday, one every single day on my main channel. Shall I give you the link here? I'll put it in here. Actually, you have to find me on Rumble because I'm banned for another week. But if you find me on Rumble, you'll be able to see more videos. Maybe I'll drop some more on this channel. I'm rambling now. Thank you for joining me as always. I'll be back very soon, Massacre friends. You take care. Thank you for the comments, especially to Hunson Abadir. Lots of love and